What's going on, YouTube? Just got off my exit 56, and as you can see, I got my girl CoCo with me. I haven't been posting a lot. If you follow me, you already know that. I post whenever I can. That's why I've been posting them shorts. But what I'm about to do right now, well, I already recorded some yesterday, so you already know who I'm breeding to. If you don't, you fast forward it. I'm breeding to Little Big Dog, the Blue Rhino son. We did an AI yesterday, and today we're going to do a TCI, and I want you all to see what it looks like as we're doing a TCI. This is my first TCI. I've done a surgical before, but never a TCI. And if you don't know where we at, which you should know because I'm going to have the other part of the video on the front, but let me reiterate. I am at Elite Reproductive Solutions. My man Rob here is the owner and CEO of Elite Reproductive Solutions. He's also the owner and CEO of Georgia Elite Frenches. So like I said in the video yesterday, if you're looking for any reproductive services, get with him. He's on Instagram at Elite Reproductive Solutions and Georgia Elite Frenches. And I'm going to make sure I put his Instagram information at the bottom so you can just click on it, follow him, and you can go from there. He got Elite Frenches is the name states, and he does Elite Work is the name states. But other than that, we're going to get to work, and you just keep recording, bro.
All right, girl. Showtime.
CoCo tape, and y'all know this gonna be her first litter. She didn't too much like the AI yesterday, so I know she's not gonna like this TCI today.
We gonna work through it.
Yeah.
Gonna get through it.
I think she
Beautiful girl.
felt violated yesterday. Back in the car, she did not like it.
It's okay, girl. Get prepped up here.
So what you doing now? Just lubing it up?
Yeah, so what we're doing now, we're lubing up this shunt right here. Okay, this right here is gonna go in first. It's gonna give us a clear passage all the way down to the cervix.
Okay.
Clear passage and clear view of what we got going on inside.
So what's the difference between a TCI and a surgical? Like, other than me cutting the dog open,
Okay.
is it any difference?
So the thing is, with a surgical, you're actually bypassing the cervix. When they cut the dog, they're actually opening up her stomach, right, from the outside. They're cutting her open, and they're pulling the uterine horns out through the incision that they made.
Okay.
They inject the semen directly into those horns.
Gotcha.
Well, if the timing is right, it's definitely a pretty good percentage-wise of connecting on those type of procedures. But a lot of times dogs don't necessarily need that. Sometimes depending on the anatomy of the dog, if everything is perfect, the timing is right, I usually try to get people to lean more towards TCIs, or even in some cases, even AIs are great. Every situation, every case can be a little different from the other. And but my thing is, I like to avoid doing an early surgery on my dog if I don't have to.
Yeah.
I like to start with what's less invasive, right?
Yeah.
The less invasive is definitely gonna be something other than doing surgery, because when you do a surgical, inevitably you cutting your dog open twice.
Yeah, that's what I hate about it. That's what I
And I tell people, it's just within 60 days they have to cut your dog twice. I prefer not to do that.
Yeah.
I prefer not to do that.
You gotta look at the screen, Lee.
So now
I got both. I got everything in the camera.
Okay, cameraman.
Yes, sir.
Cameraman. Now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This is my first time seeing a search. I seen it on YouTube plenty of times, but it look totally different in person. I ain't gonna hold you. Sitting here looking at this screen and seeing how it actually look inside there.
Okay. So what I know I want to do here. Give me a second.
And if you didn't hear my question when I asked it first, I was basically asking what was the difference between the TCI and the surgical. So that's what he was explaining.
Another thing I like about TCIs, even in general, I tend to do this with my dogs, right? I like to be able to look at the inside of the dog.
Mhm.
It tells us if there's any kind of infections or, just looking at the walls of the vagina, the internal part of the vagina is important. It tells us a lot about the dog too, the dog's health, I've looked inside of some dogs and there's been green inside, it's been slimy, different conditions. It changes the pH of the dog as well, right? So depending on the dog's condition, you can literally, okay, baby, all right, I'm sorry. You can literally put that semen in that dog and the semen dies off right away.
Because of the infection.
Because of the pH being thrown off can automatically it's just semen won't thrive in certain conditions.
Right.
A higher pH or a lower pH being too acidic, either way it could be too much.
So basically you saying you basically need to clean your dogs out before you breed them.
You need to clean your dogs out
Okay.
before you breed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And for me, clean out mean that's not a physical flush, but I like to run antibiotics, amoxicillin. For the most part, I don't like Baytril is a little too strong. I don't find it's necessary unless you're having some other underlying issues.
yeah.
With your girl.
Yeah.
Which would be more along the lines of, let's say, you noticing she's had pyometra before, she's had open pyometra, and you're just trying to make sure there's no infection present or anything there that can cause it to flare back up.
Gotcha.
Most of the time, people usually don't like to breed their dogs after they've had pyometra before, but I've seen pregnancies actually take, from doing them.
So what you looking at right now? So does she look pretty clean to you?
Yeah, so these walls, when a dog is ready, normally you see wrinkles in this exterior right here.
Okay.
The wrinkles show when the dog are earlier in their cycle.
Right.
As the closer they get to being ready, the smoother the surfaces
So
for the inside. Right, this signifies this very smooth surface, real clean. You don't see no slimy looking stuff. You don't see anything that looks, weird or anything in there. That's what we like to see going in.
Okay. All right, girl. It's okay. I know.
Hold on.
I know. It mean no more. What's wrong? And she will be getting a pup cup after this, you guys.
Uh-oh.
She will be getting a pup cup. Gotta let her know. You did good. What you just shoot in there?
So around the inside of this cylinder, there's a balloon at the end. I just made it swell up to hold not per se a vacuum, but it helps to hold a tightness right around here, so it opens it up inside just a little bit more. Kind of holds the catheter in place, the shunt does.
How many tries did it take you before you perfected this bit?
I'd say I worked on it. I practiced on it for probably about, I'd say probably about maybe 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, before I really got it all the way down packed, you know.
So basically, this is the closest to a surgical you gonna get right here.
Yeah, yeah.
I was holding it tight yesterday. I'm trying not to hold it so tight, keep her a little loose, but I know she really loose. I'm gonna let her do a book on me. Everything right, we should be good to go. The semen look good, or everything in there look good.
Yeah, everything was good.
So you squeezing that pump. What you squeezing the pump for?
This, as I'm pulling out, I don't want the semen to run out behind any overflow. So this is pushing any of that residual semen back down into a vaginal cavity. Now we lifting up. So now I'm finna deflate that balloon. So this is the balloon right here. When we push this out,
Oh,
see how it
right
opens
there.
that balloon right there?
Yeah.
Do like that, it closes it back up.
Oh.
She did good though. She didn't move much.
I apologize if you guys couldn't hear me. I meant to bring my little mic with me, but it wasn't charged up, and I wasn't finna charge it up, so I went on the dip. So if you couldn't hear me and you can hear him, you can pretty much understand probably like what I was asking.
So for the most part, just in a nutshell, if you don't have to cut your dog, try to avoid it as much as possible. I get some people, they feel as though
That's what you gotta do.
it's, yeah, you gotta do it, or it's like a status, like, oh man, I did a surgical. It's like, nah, we've done plenty of, I've seen surgicals not take,
Yeah, I've heard of
you
something
know.
not taken.
It's so many other variables in a dog, the health of the dog. It's just too many things to guarantee 100% on any procedure, you know. But what we want to do is provide the right environment, which is going to be timing, semen quality, being the biggest factor. The cervix is like a vault. This is how I explain it to people. The cervix is a vault that late in the dog cycle, that vault opens up for about 72 hours. It starts to open at the beginning of post-ovulation when she develops her eggs. As that vault starts to open, which is the cervix, you have about 72-hour window in which you can put semen in vaginally, right? So what happens is, surgically, there's always that opportunity at the end, which would be the 4th day. So you're going from the 3rd day to the 4th day, which you're gonna now bypass the cervix, cut the dog's stomach, and actually pull the horn out. When you're doing that, you have a short window then, because the eggs are at their highest ripeness, and they're gonna start to deteriorate. So that's why they say you have to be spot on with the time. What'll happen is, some people will introduce that semen too early on a surgical. So the semen will die off before the shell around the egg softens up enough to fertilize the egg. So you can have the semen there too early.
Yeah.
The semen can be there too late. So you got way too many variables, to just say one thing is gonna work over the other. You still have to know the timing, the correct timing for any of these procedures.
Right.
You
You
know.
keep saying time, which is the key word. When I first started doing progesterones, which was I want to say about 4 years ago when I first
Mhm.
started hearing about them,
Yeah,
I was always hearing numbers.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then it wasn't until here lately I've been hearing, well, it's not the numbers, it's more so the double up. Well, you wait on a number to double up. What do you say to that? Because I'm still kind of confused. Like, is it numbers? Is I waiting on the double? Is it?
Well, so it's numbers, but the way that people gauge it is incorrectly a lot of the times.
Okay.
What we're looking for is ovulation. Okay, ovulation signifies the dog has now begun producing her eggs.
Gotcha.
That's the most important part. It takes 48 hours from the time she develops her eggs for them to be a fully developed egg in 48 hours, right?
Right.
And what we signify from that is, when I told you we're looking based off of my machine, which reads just like IDEX,
Yeah.
our machines from a 5 to an 8 is what we call the ovulation period. From that 5 to that 8, when I see that on those tests, 48 hours after that, usually the dog is ready to breed. So what I do when people are using ship semen, a lot of time I tell them, hey, we need to test back to back 2 days now to make sure she started ovulating and she didn't like pause right there. Sometimes what dogs will do, they'll get to like a 5 or a 6 number and they'll just kind of like stall right there for a little bit. But if the numbers, this is what I find, right? If you hit like a 7, when you catch ovulation between the 6 and the 7, it has already started to progress further into the ovulation stages.
Okay.
So I can look at a 6 or a 7 number 99.9% of the times. If I tell you 48 hours from now she's going to be ready for her first breeding, usually that's correct. So the sweet spot for me has always been the first 2 days post-ovulation. So ovulation is 48 hours after we reach numbers between 5 and 7.
Right.
After we hit ovulation, 2 days later, what's going to happen is that vault begins its opening phase.
Okay.
The early part of the opening phase, the cervix is not as open as it is during the middle of that stage.
Yeah.
So the window is doing like this. The door is going boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
It's going to reach a certain point, and toward the end, it'll start to do this again,
Okay.
going back in the opposite direction.
So right now, we are at the
At
very
the prime opening of
okay,
hers,
Okay.
it's like this right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So that allows the maximum amount of semen to penetrate
Gotcha.
through the cervix.
Gotcha.
Now, what you have also in situations where, and this is every dog can be different. When you look at these dogs, they have a lot of fatty tissue around the cervix. That fatty tissue kind of like falls. It's like putting a dish rag in the sink and the water is running out, and that dish rag kind of falls down in the hole.
Yeah.
That fatty tissue sometimes kind of sits around there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different little things you're looking for, you know, when you're doing this procedure,
Okay.
or the difference between doing an AI. Like sometimes people do AIs and they'll go till they feel they hit a wall, and they'll just kind of hit it from right there, and they hold the dog up. They go through all this stuff. It's like, man, I did 2 AIs or whatever, the dog didn't take. And a lot of the times it's because of the tissue that sits in front of the cervix. It could just be flapped over, little skin just flapped over the cervix, preventing that semen from passing.
But see,
through
you'll
there.
never know it's there if you're doing an AI then, huh?
Most of the time you never know. Train and, you know, doing it for a while,
Yeah.
sometime I know the feel of the catheter when I stick it in a female.
You're doing a regular AI.
Doing a regular AI, I can tell sometime if there's a blockage, you know, things of that nature. But for the most part, we are very successful AIs and TCIs on most of the breedings. It's just the timing is what people don't get right. And then if you're getting semen shipped in and the semen quality is not good, don't force your hen to do that breeding, because the situation, I know you want the breeding, the time is today, you want to get this dog pregnant, but if the semen is bad, you're not gonna have a successful outcome, you know, as far as they go. So, you know, I find a lot of guys like, man, today is the day. I wanted to breed to such and such dog. I got the semen in and the quality was like 20% motility. You know, the count was low, everything was low, and it's like, but there's still something live in there. It's something live, and it's like, you got to remember, with semen, that high count is so important because from the moment you put it in a dog, semen starts to die off in phases. It's dying off. So you may have 1 billion soldiers when you start out, but at the very end of the race, when you get there to the eggs, what up, bro? When you get there to the eggs, you knocked all the way down to probably 10,000 or less.
Damn.
You know, or less. It could be in the hundreds.
You start at 1 billion.
And you start at 1 billion.
Mm.
But they microscopic organisms that die really easy. You know, yeah.
That's crazy. And I noticed you lift her up. Like, usually I know you do that with an AI. I didn't know you had to do that with a TCI.
So with that, all that extra semen that's still sitting in there, remember when I did the TCI, there was backwash, so she can only hold so much into the horn area right there. We had 4 cc's, so it started to flow backwards as we put it in there. So it's just a habit for me, you know.
No, I feel
It's one of those things that can't hurt, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel because I knew when I first started doing AI and then some of it would come back out, I used to feel so bad. I'd be like, damn, she ain't gonna get pretty to come out. Then my dad was like, sometimes they just can't hold all of it, bro.
Yeah, they can't hold all of it.
I used to think I had to get like 8, 10 cc's. And it's like, bro, now you getting prostate fluid at this point. Like, what are you doing? So,
anything past the first, you know, maybe 60 seconds, when that semen drop, you can see when it go from being real cloudy to clearing back up. You know, just stop right there. 20 cc's is not semen.
I used to think that until I did some research. I'm like, you just got a whole bunch of nothing in there.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Big bag of trash.
Yep.
Man, I hope this was informative to y'all, because it most definitely was informative to me, to be honest with you. And I wanted to make sure I captured it because I had never did this before. And, you know, a lot of times when you go to vets, you can't really get this type of information because, you know, vets got to move. And I'm not saying he don't, because he does. But, you know what I mean? A lot of vets is in and out, you got to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they don't want to give you this information. A lot of them don't. They want to go ahead and get you in.
In and out, like a microwave.
In a case like this, I'm asking him just for knowledge, just so I know. It ain't like I'm finna open up a reproductive. That ain't my lane. But I'm just inquisitive about certain things, and I like to know certain things. So, especially when it comes to breeding dogs. And the few days I've been coming, Rob been A1 with me. He been letting me know everything. He been answering all my questions. He ain't held back. You can tell when somebody holding back information. He ain't did it not one time.
That's what we do, man. That's what we do here.
Appreciate it.
The more knowledgeable everybody is, it's better for everybody, you know. It saves you time, it saves you money, and it just, you know, if you're gonna be a breeder and be serious about it, it's things you gotta know.
Save you heartache and pain, that's for sure. So
things you gotta know.
that's it, guys. You know, I ain't gonna hold y'all. We already been on here long enough. You guys know the slogan. If you don't, you want it, I got it. I don't, I get it. Always remember, time's your greatest inventory. Sign off. Let's 56. Peace.